challenged by what's called the sandbox, and it consists of all the three others in the quartet turns around, and one person steps in front of the quartet. Everyone else turns around, so we can't see him. So he doesn't have to be afraid of doing something stupid, you know, making us laugh or something. So he can be completely comfortable. The only one that will look at him would be Gary Plug, the coach. And, you know, so to do this, you want to do it in front of someone you can trust that they're not going to make fun of you, you know. And that was really nice. And then, you know, the thought is that you just go completely free form and do whatever comes to mind and do it big.
Yeah, exactly. So what is a sandbox, right? You go there to play. And if you don't like the castles you build, it's just sand, right? So that's why it's called the sandbox.
And what are the rules in a sandbox?
There's only one rule.
Don't eat the sand.
Don't throw sand.
Yeah.
Don't pee in the sandbox. We have 3 rules there. Don't eat it.
So one of us would do this, and even though, you know, we might feel absolutely ridiculous doing something, you know, it might be totally over the top, but it would sort of be a forced brainstorming of ideas, like, oh, here I sing about the moonlight, you know, and then I have to sort of, you know, the moon, something that's just totally stupid and not competition, you know, I couldn't do it on stage.
Sorry, I think we have a volunteer who just stepped up.
You do? Okay. Well, but maybe something from these moves, or that I felt something that I could, like, I kind of like this, you know, I couldn't do, you know, this, but, you know, maybe I could do sort of this. I can get an idea or a thought or a feeling from something that I did and apply it on stage later. As sort of an icebreaker of a kind. So what song are we singing?
Okay,
sure.
That's very difficult.
S.
Så vi minns oss eller? Sjunger jag?
Yeah, we all sing now, and this is great because there's no pressure on Martin because it's just one coach watching him, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Now, is this something you do just with a coach, or is this something that you guys also do when you're trying to brainstorm a new song?
I mean, this
Can
is
you
not-
do this by yourselves?
Yeah, we would do it with a coach. We could do it by ourselves, but it's generally not something that we do any longer. But it was a great way for us. You know, we were really stiff, so
It kickstarted our.
Yes.
It really kickstarted our presentation.
It's a good exercise to sort of get out of your comfort zone in a controlled environment. So you know you feel good about it, and it's really an opportunity to be creative without feeling too exploited. You know.
Yes. And it's like, this is my stage. So I can go up here and I can go up back here.
If you were the only girl in the world, and I were the only boy, nothing else would matter in the world today. We could go on loving all the way.
What did he do?
Nothing, he was dead as a doorknob.
One at a time.
Confidential.
So that, you know, it forced us to go overboard, and it felt really awkward in the beginning, but now it's just fun.
You're not out of your comfort zone this time.
I was sort of out of my comfort zone. Out of my breathing zone, for sure.
Yeah, so you get inspired by the lyrics, and things become spontaneous after a while. And if you can practice this for several times, you will see that new things will come, and you don't know really what's going to happen. And it's really interesting what will come out of this. No, because no one knows, and you don't really know yourself what's going to happen. You just go with it. And
so the next step would then be for the guys to turn around, and I sort of show them what I come up with, and
All right.
and I might, I might evolve stuff, and then eventually, I kind of like this, and so that was sort of the goal.
Yeah.
And especially Rasmus did lots of this.
Yes.
Would-
Sandbox.
Would you want to talk for a while about the sort of lead role?
So for me, coming out of the same, exact same background as all of us, it became a very hard challenge to just take the lead spot and own it, and sort of be the kind of visual, the most visually important person. You go look at the melody singer, because most of the people are drawn to the melody and how the lead expresses the melody, and so not only visual presentation of the melody, but the vocal presentation of the melody started to get things that I really had to think about, and it was very hard. I remember years and years of just okay, but I don't know if this is in tune yet, but I have to do something, and then I started realizing I don't look like I think I do. Oh, that's not very good. So I think I do something, but then I go back and I look at it on a video and I realize I just look really focused and kind of eyebrows down and worried or angry even, but that was not what I was trying to do. So then I had to sync. I really had to work to sync my way of presenting things with what I thought it was going to be. Standing in front of a mirror, for example. So this is how I look when and then during each performance, having maybe one or two presentation things that I would think about more. So this time I'm going to practice, maybe not in context, but on a gig or on a show, or this time I'm going to focus a lot about. I'm going to focus on confidence and looking very sure about everything I say, and not kind of float around with my eyes and just go from thing to thing, and make the audience be worried about me, because I don't want that. I want the audience to think I'm a rock star, right? So every little thing had to come together, and it took years, and some people say it was really like Anaheim where I started to look more like a lead. Now that's 3 years of hard work before Anaheim, and then from there it kind of took on. But Gary had the sandbox, which is a great and big, kind of basic exercise where nothing is wrong, and you can do anything you want. But then when we started to get into the details with Gary a little bit, I think we saw him a few times, and we started talking about things like what does the lyrics mean? We're Swedish, and they're just sounds sometimes. It's just a sound, and we're thinking a lot about the music because we're musicians and we love music. And so how could I, as a lead especially, how could I make the lyrics sound more meaningful and look more meaningful? And he has some great, I remember a couple, but he has many many great tricks. For example, if I'm going to ask you if I can borrow your car, I can do it like this. Can I borrow your car? Or I can do it like, can I borrow your car? Right? So did you notice the difference between and then turning it on, or like being constantly in the feeling of what I'm about to tell you? Okay, and that was one thing. Through each breath, trying to get the next, what you're about to say, as if it was coming from inside, not something you learned from the outside, right? So as if it was coming from the inside, naturally, exactly, telling the message of the song. That was one thing.
Can I, as an addition to that, an exercise he would do as a coach then in front of us to trigger these mechanisms was to, before every phrase, ask a question relevant to the phrase coming. So
Start, if you were the only girl, same place as last time.
If you were the only girl in the world.
And who are you, Rasmus?
And I were the only boy. Nothing else would matter in the world.
What will you do?
We could go on loving in the same old.
So you get this sort of natural progression leading through the phases.
Oh, wow.
So by asking these questions when we were singing, he would sort of turn the light on after every phrase, so we just didn't go and then keep on singing. Also, one more I remember is lyrics are usually like a poem, so why not just read it? And he made me do this too. How can I read it to someone to make it sound interesting? That was a really great exercise, which made me think about emphasis and stuff that I would not think about in the music that much, because I'm thinking about the musical emphasis instead, on this chord and that chord. So maybe the words weren't that important, but when I start just reading the words like a poem, I certainly had to have a good flow and start thinking about the meaning of the whole poem and all that. So that was a great start for us.
So we started thinking more about what lyrics we were singing and trying to relate to them more. But that could pose another problem when later on when we would find a song that we really wanted to sing, and when we started practicing it or maybe being coached by it, we would have a problem maybe relating to the lyrics. So whoever was there with us or ourselves, we would ask, why are we singing this song if we can't relate to it? And the answer would be because we really like the music of the song, really like the melody, and the arrangement is beautiful. And the lyrics are there, but it's beautiful, but it's nothing really we relate as strong to as the music. And that gave us another opportunity then, that it's not always necessary to really connect with the lyrics necessarily, but the music can give you that information you need just as much to express yourself. You have these phrases and I'll wait for this chord is coming here. As music nerds as we are, that is really enough for us to get us going. So it's sort of, we have those two elements to work with, and that's really nice.
Yeah, and while it can be good to use the music as your expression, it can also be like scary kind of, because it might be like a loud climax or something, or a tag, and you just think it's awesome, But that might not be what you're expressing. You might look like, and it's really about I love you, you know. So that kind of criticism was some of the things that we got from some of the coaches.
You look angry.
Yeah.
Or we're really crushing something, and
Yeah.
it's
Ringing.
Yeah. So we had to be careful with that. Another thing, a tip that we got was that we sing a sentence to a spot in the audience, and then we continue to the next one as the song goes on. This way, we won't be looking lost at all. We will look very focused, and it seems pretty natural when you see it during a performance. And I've noticed that politicians are doing the same. If you look at like a speech of like Barack Obama,